So we'll keep things to time, and we will move on to our very next session. And this one is all about how to get started on your sustainability journey. Birgit has got a great panel. Lauren unfortunately can't be with us today, but we've still got Dana and Barak with us who have started their journey and are at the early stages. And they're going to be talking about operating your business with a sustainability mindset and how that will change how you think about your business, from the way you build, sell and market your product to suppliers you use, to then understanding your customers, which is kind of key. And then obviously sustainability becomes an embedded approach to all of your operations. So Birgit, I'm going to hand over to you and I'm looking forward to hearing more. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I am delighted to moderate Danaman and Baruch Altman sharing their experiences with getting started with the sustainability journey. Dana is the marketing director at TAG Video Systems, a media tech software company, and she leads the sustainability initiatives and journey in TAG and is building the sustainability action plan for the company. And Baruch is LiveView's head of projects and ESG, and it is a company that deals with both software and hardware. And he both initiated and leads addressing ESG in LiveView. There is not much talk about various routes companies take on their sustainability journey and even how they get started. Dana and Baruch, tell us please, how did you begin your journey? Was there a clearly identifiable start, or has it been an organic process of sorts?
So first of all, thank you, Birgit and Baruch. For TAG, who has recently went on the sustainability journey, I think the path to start was not as clear, and there are many ways that you can get started. For us specifically, we chose to start with the environmental side of things, because not necessarily to us, and for me as a more practical approach person, it's the lower hanging fruit, and going to the calculations that we can currently do on the data that we have, for me, is the best place to start and gain awareness of how our path forward might look like and where do we actually stand today. And that's for TAG. Yeah.
And Baruch?
Yeah, so thank you as well, and also for hosting us, Barbara and Lisa. I think that for LiveView, it came more or less natural in the path that we are taking. LiveView is a company that many people here probably know. We do the live transmission and replacing the big satellite tracks with our compact cellular device, and also cloud production and remote production. So it came pretty much natural in terms of the product. And there was a meeting of interest, I guess, coming from myself as my own interest. And then we started getting customer demands or requirements to report. And so we saw, and then of course the products are what we call greener. And so it's kind of a meeting of interest. And the challenge was to bring it all together, to see where to start with, what we can do, to learn a little bit about the jargons and the terminologies and all of that, and put things together. And we are about 1 year down the road now. And I think we've done quite a lot in this year. And looking forward to continue, because it's a journey. It's a complete journey. It's a complete transition in the mindset and throughout the company.
But regarding continuing the journey, we can view sustainability and ESG ambition or maturity as a scale of sorts that spans from compliance to seeking to be the most ESG ambitious company in the industry. Tell us about both of you, your ambitions on that scale and what has guided these until now. Maybe, yeah, Baruch?
Yeah, I can start. So I think that ambitions are good, but you have to know, first of all, about your baseline, about your ecosystem, where you are, what's there to talk about, what's the goals, what's the scope of things. It could be it could be hurting the journey if you take ambitions which are too ambitious. Or I think the first ambition is basically to learn where you are and what's available to you, and to start from there. And then along the way, it's not going to end, in one day. And at least LiveView is not going to remedy the crisis, the climate crisis, but we are making all the small things matter. And I think it's a journey. And so you have to acknowledge that and make your ambitions along the way, while you pick up, learning and data, and start from there.
And what about Dana?
So first of all, definitely agree with Baruch that gaining the knowledge of where you stand right now and having the true data that reflects your organization and where it stands would be our first ambition. And then when you look a bit ahead on the journey that is before us, it will go for us in two paths. Of course, our scope 1, 2, and 3, we're currently focusing on scope 1. And the other side of things, of course, would be our customers' scope 3 and the product itself. Now, Tag being a software company, optimizing resources, the software will run on COTS or cloud. So optimizing resources is something that has always been, in a way, a part of the development methodology of the product. It's something that we keep in mind at all times. And for me, being in marketing and not as close to the product development, I would say going towards investigating and collecting the data for scopes 1, 2, and 3, initially for compliance, and then for passion, goals, and the things we truly care about as a team and as a company, would be down our path. But going back to where we are today, it's collecting accurate data and deciding on our priorities, what we're going to do first.
Yeah, if I may just add, because Dana reminded me of a couple of points that I think might be important. I think if I look at what we have done in our vision forward, the specific technical goals, then we've started with scope 1 and 2, and we've started with separating the products from the company in terms of the things, how you look at things, because LiveView's products, are greener by nature, as we call them, because they replace the satellite trucks and so forth in the cloud production. The company itself, how it behaves or how it conducts its business. So some of it has already been under ESG for a while, especially social and governance. But in terms of sustainability, we've started with scope 1 and 2, looking at our travels, our electricity consumption, multiple sites. LiveView has several sites globally, so we have to collect and get the awareness of the people, get people engaged, working with the relevant people or teams within the company, from operations, from finance, from HR, all together, and collecting that information, understanding what we're looking for, and going forward. So I think we're pretty good. We pretty much covered a lot of scope 1 and 2. And scope 3 will be down the road for us. It's much more difficult, we found, to get information specifically about carbon and so forth from suppliers. Especially, we work with suppliers who supply multiple other companies as well, like electronic boards or whatever. And some of them, or the cloud, even the cloud, big cloud companies or providers, some of them have carbon emission data available and some don't. So we have to work through that. And that's one of the ambitions for next year, probably, yeah.
you touched a very important point there, because as there is no common standard really in the industry, and you are finding your own ways, how does that exactly play out for both of you when working with your suppliers and partners, and how do you balance these different ways and different interests?
Right. So
Dana, or you.
Okay. So you mentioned suppliers and the stakeholders. There are lots of stakeholders. There are stakeholders in the company itself, which are very important, like the employees themselves and the teams. Employees come up with a lot of energy, a lot of awareness, some of them less, and they want to impact and they want to have something to do with that. And there are stakeholders like we are a supplier. We have customers, and so we supply to them. So we got demands or requirements, so we have to see how they, like the previous session was with Albert, and how Albert is not a client or customer, but the impact or customers work with them on how to integrate carbon emissions from their suppliers, i.e. from LiveView. Working with our suppliers, we usually work with tier 1 suppliers, and they're already certified on various ISOs, for example, including ISO 14006, at least some of them, or the major, most of them. Working on the batteries or working with the cloud providers. So some of the cloud providers do have data emissions, and some of them don't. And we started working with the one that didn't. We started working with them. They are open to that. It's not a requirement coming only from LiveView. So we'll integrate that information. So yeah, that's a journey to take. Yeah. Yeah.
And how about the tag, Anna?
So definitely, and I think it was discussed on the previous panel too, which was interesting, the lack of standards, or let's say clear enough benchmarks currently in our industry is something that maybe everyone is feeling. And tag currently, where we stand in the journey is basically setting our own standard for what we feel will be best for our organization. So setting our own standard would mean something that is achievable for us and that we can sustain, hopefully for the rest of the life of tag. And finding the path to create our own standards will come from the team that will be part of the green team and a part of this initiative, because they set the standard of what we can do. And of course, eventually, when we talk about the other path or our customers' scope 3, we'll also be listening for that standard from our customers. They will be getting regulated and moderated first before we do. And they will require to have information and will base, hopefully one day, their decisions based on the information that tag and other companies will provide them. So the two things that for us will set the standard with the lack of very clear path would be what we can achieve in relation to where we stand today and what our customer will demand. And when we reach these goals that we will set for ourselves, what will be the tag standard, then we will look forward to how we can make it even better. Yeah.
And what would you both say that has been your biggest challenge in this journey? Because it sounds like a challenging task, and I'm sure you both are somewhat on different points on that journey. But what has been so far your biggest challenge that you would like others to be aware of, to be wary of?
So I think thank you. So I think for tag and where we stand, I think the biggest challenge was to know how to start, how to go on this life journey. And well, it truly depends on the nature of the company, but also on the nature of the person taking the responsibility within the company. Some people might feel that one way is the right way to start for them. For example, maybe the social aspects. One may feel that, you know, the environmental aspect is where they should start, but knowing where to start to create the right path was the challenge for me, because maybe we were looking for the clearer process. We were looking for the clearest path to guaranteed success, and there is no such path. So in handling that challenge of where do we start, fortunately we had the help of Barbara Lang with Kiva 121 that is actually hosting this event today, and we have been very fortunate to have her support and guidance so far.
And it is really good that you mentioned the guidance part, because this is something that a lot of businesses struggle, and what I'm interested in is that other than the insights that you have gotten from Barbara, where have you found the knowledge for all of that? Have you been through some extensive, research on your own, or have you found already insights that are specifically applicable to media tech in particular, or did you have to modify some of the information that you have found yourself?
I don't think there is yet a lot of information out there that is very, very specific to our industry. But the information out there of industries that are maybe more advanced when it comes to sustainability is out there. And it's definitely helpful. And whatever you can learn and apply to your business is a good place to start. Because once you start with the first thing, that really opens up the path to the rest. I have not yet gone to a specific course or training. We have been collecting the data inside the organization based on the guidelines that we found online and got the guidance from Barbara. And actually, one of the most helpful tools for me specifically to learn about this is the free carbon calculators. What are the parameters we learn? What is the scale? For me, that is the basic, the 101, and that's where you go first to create a clearer path.
And what about you? Or how about you? Because you are further down the line a little bit already.
Yeah, so we started with, not just sustainability, environmental, but also the ESG as a holistic concept. So I undertook a course or training on ESG and reporting of ESG, corporate responsibility, and all of that. And that gave me the context and specific terminologies. And, there are there's lots of information on the internet. And as Dana said, most of it is not relevant, or not relevant, but not specific to our industry. So you have to know what to look for, how to pick it up, and how to distinguish. And that course just allowed me to, or helped me doing that. A lot of learning, calculators of that sort, they are focused on carbon and carbon emission. And there's lots and lots more to ESG than just the emissions. So you have to look at the bigger picture, I guess, and working with the teams. That's basically, I think, the way to go forward. And there's a difference, if I look at the industry, it's a lot of rather small or medium companies, and both on the supplier side, and there are bigger media production companies. Of course, the broadcasters are bigger, but they are still not, if I look at the industry like Intel or Cisco, the leaders, Microsoft, the leaders in ESG, that you always want to look up to and take whatever they're doing and implement. It's not implementable for us. So we have to look at what the leaders are doing, leaders overall, not just in our industry, and adapt it. And that's a challenge, and that's a learning curve.
If I may just add to that, apologies, Bridget.
No.
I think another helpful tool that was also mentioned in the previous panel for companies maybe just starting and going out there to find information is within the industry, there are certifications. So there are many certifications, and as was stated, the standard is not set. But I think actually just being able to look at those questionnaires and certifications, starting to answer some of these questions for your organization, even to understand and set apart the things you know and the data that you have and the things you didn't even know that you should go after. So for example, the DPP assessment is also a great place to start to map out the journey.
We don't have any questions yet popping up. If anybody has questions, to feel free to write them in the chat. But until then, I'm curious if you would sum up your sort of insights so far into an opinion that what is the most valuable guidance you would want to share with the viewers from your own journey.
Yeah. So I can go ahead. I can go first. So I think to be aware and to learn about what ESG or what sustainability is, to know your context, to know where you are at to begin with, and to leverage what you already have, like Liveview with the greener product. So we have that, and how do we turn it into, first of all, something that customers know, but also how do I have the products, but I need to take care also of the company's the company conduct itself. So I can do the focus over there and leverage from the products. I think that's very important to understand and to pick up to begin with the lowest hanging fruit. So something that you can deliver and be successful with. And everybody understands that. We picked up, for example, to begin with green packaging and collecting electricity consumption of the company and so forth. So we need to build it up, and building it up is from what you already have or what you can get pretty easy or start dealing with. So yeah, that's my insights.
And Dana?
Could not agree more. Definitely reach for the lower hanging fruit first, because you will have the rest of the path to go after everything you think is important. And from my view currently of where we're at in the journey, I would say, even if you're not sure, take a first step. Take a first step in a direction that is instinctive to you, that is the first thing that comes to mind when you think about sustainability, something that you specifically are passionate about. Because once you make that first step, you will learn so much more from doing and working with other people and interacting with the tools and information out there than from planning and theoretically defining the project as a whole, because that's sometimes impossible when you're just starting. So to make the first step into what seems the easiest would be my recommendation, and also something that Barbara shared with TAG. I would say celebrate. Celebrate when you are hitting what you define yourself as your benchmarks. You achieved something, even if it's a small stepping stone in your overall journey. Stop and celebrate that, because you have the rest of your life to continue working and continue improving.
That actually takes us to one of the questions of the two that we have by now from the audience, which is, how did you go about onboarding your team?
Baruch, do you want to start with that?
Go ahead. It's great.
I think for TAG, it's just a little funny story because what we have defined as the green team leading this initiative within TAG was not the first team that we onboarded. I decided that the best thing to do would be to involve the entire team in measuring their own carbon footprint as an employee. So they knew, because I shared, that we did the DPP assessment. And immediately after that, I just sent them the questionnaire. The reason that I decided to do that is because I think it's an excellent way to get them thinking about where are they in the company's overall carbon footprint, and it's also engaging. And you have immediate feedback or results. Where do I stand versus other people in the company? How green am I? And I think it was excellent for the team not only to know that TAG is going on this journey, but also to actually be a part of it. That's for TAG.
And what about LiveU?
First of all, what Dana did seems a great idea, and that sounds super. For us, being also a little bit probably a bigger company, but there are several ways to go about that, and I think that what I did was to identify first of all the matters at hand, what I want to focus on, and then identify the team members that can play a role in achieving that and help me or help the company or go together about that. And for example, if I'm talking about cloud, collecting cloud data, then I hooked up with the DevOps of the company and we worked together to get this information. If I want to go to the electricity consumption of the company, then I reach out to the site managers globally, or in Israel, in our headquarters, I just work with the operations team. If I look at the suppliers, then I start working with the suppliers procurement team, and they already have evaluation process for the suppliers. So we just add up the ESG part to that, and we work with the information, and they get to learn about ESG. So that's important for them. It's kind of something that enriches their daily work, everybody's. So it's another angle to what they're actually doing, everybody's doing daily. It's another perspective. It's a learning process for them, an improvement of the process. So that's, how you engage and you give people something to be positive about, to learn about, and to improve. So yeah, that's the main track, I guess.
We have now 2 minutes left, and we have an interesting question, which is, what do you think about the CO2 calculators, which calculate digital footprint of streaming? Do either one of you or both of you have an answer to that?
I can start with something because we don't do streaming, so it's very easy. I haven't checked those calculators. I did look at calculators for carbon, for cloud production, and for emissions of electricity generated emissions, and I ended up doing my own stuff in Excel, getting the factors, the parameters, and then putting them into the Excel, and that's it.
Any other experiences or thoughts on that from Dana?
We also have not tried this type calculators. What we're working with right now is to measure the electricity consumption and other aspects, of course, like I mentioned, the team. But for us currently, it would be mostly the electricity consumption when you think about that type of activity.
Just one thing to add, if I may, before we end. So I started with the electricity, and then I found out that business travel is much more, has much more footprint than, for us at least, a much bigger footprint than almost any other activity of the company itself in terms of scope 1 and scope 2. For us, business travel is by far the most emitting process of the company. So that goes with cost reduction and waste reduction and so forth. But it also, you cannot avoid business travel. So we have to see how we progress from that. That's just, an insight. So any company that has a lot of business travel for meeting customers and supporting them and so forth, looking to travel.
That's actually a really beautiful point to sum up this panel, considering that this panel is virtual and we haven't done any business travel to do that. So
exactly.
Thank you both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Really grateful for your contributions. As you said at the start, there really aren't any benchmarks in our industry, and without you guys coming forward and sharing your views, they're never going to be there. So I'm really grateful. And it is another one of the reasons why the Corporate Star Awards were launched, which will take place in September. Just a shameful plug there for another kind of benchmark as to what people are doing in ESG.